In my experience playing Roblox asym games and making videos about them, I've seen plenty of unique takes on character design, whether it's a survival or the power role of an asym game. I've seen characters that takes inspiration from other games while putting their own twist on the concept. I've also seen characters with completely original ideas that fit perfectly into the game they're from. But every once in a while, you come across a character whose design makes you stop and think, who the fuck was this character even made for? So in today's video, I want to talk about a character from one of my favorite Roblox asym games on the platform, which is PursuitCore. And more specifically, I want to talk about one character in particular, the Kid. A character with a playstyle that is so unique, so oddly designed, and honestly, so painful to play at times. How the fuck did that I like to call it the character made for masochists.
Surprise. We have a baby.
Before I talk why I think Kid has some of the oddest balancing I've seen in an asym game, I first need to explain how the game they're from, PursuitCore, actually works. PursuitCore gameplay falls under a category known as disaster likes, which takes heavy inspiration from games like Sonic.exe Disaster. And the biggest thing that separates this type of asym game from more known Forsaken gameplay is the lack of stamina mechanic. Instead of managing stamina, both the Terminator and users have relatively shorter ability cooldowns, allowing them to use their abilities more frequently throughout the match. On top of that, everyone can jump, and I mean everyone. Jumping is actually a pretty important part of the gameplay because the maps are designed with a lot of high and low grounds, especially around loops. This means positioning vertically can be just as important as positioning horizontally. There's another mechanic that makes PursuitCore different from a typical asym game, which is common for the disaster likes. Users have a second life system. When a user's health reaches 0, they aren't immediately killed. Instead, they become down, giving their teammates a chance to survive and bring them back into the game. So, when you put all of these mechanics together, which is no stamina, shorter cooldowns, jumping, vertical map designs, and the ability to revive down teammates, you get an asym game that feels much more fast-paced and chaotic than the Forsaken-esque formula. Kid is a pretty interesting character because they're the only character in the game with a passive double jump ability. And considering how important jumping is in PursuitCore, having the ability to double jump is actually a really useful advantage. It gives Kid a lot more freedom when it comes to juking, navigating map, and dodging attacks. But the double jump isn't the only thing Kid has going for them. This cat has a gun. Kid pulls out a pistol and fires a shot that deals no damage to the Terminator. And while it also doesn't stun them, hitting a Terminator with the pistol bullets puts their abilities on a 0.5 second cooldown, essentially disrupting their ability usage. And then we have Charge Up. With Charge Up, Kid charges a shot from their gun for 3 seconds. Once the ability is activated again, Kid fires the charged shot, and if it hits a Terminator, it stuns them for 2 seconds. So when you look at Kid's kit on paper, you might be thinking, wow, this character sounds pretty busted. They have a double jump for pair mobility, a gun that can mess with the Terminator's cooldowns, and an ability that can straight up stun the Terminator for 2 seconds. They sound like an incredibly strong support character who can help their teammates while also being extremely difficult to catch. Surely, there has to be some kind of downside, right? Kid only has 15 health, and to make things worse, Kid cannot be revived. Remember how I mentioned earlier that users normally get a second life when their health reaches 0? Yeah, Kid doesn't get that luxury. Once Kid goes down, that's it. So, despite having some of the best mobility and utility in the entire game, Kid is essentially playing with one of the most smallest health pools imaginable. And this is where Kid's balancing starts getting really interesting. You see, Kid's entire design is based around the rage game I Wanna Be the Guy, which is also the main inspiration behind the I Wanna Be the User game mode. The developers intentionally designed Kid to be a joke character, a character that is challenging to play but not completely unplayable. And honestly, their 15 HP fits the inspiration perfectly, because with the only 15 health, pretty much any attack from a Terminator can result in a very quick death. It basically captures the same kind of brutal difficulty that I Wanna Be the Guy is known for. This also makes Kit especially vulnerable to projectile attacks. Things like LimeWire's Lime Block, Sweep's Mines, and Jack Norris can be an absolute nightmare for Kit, since getting hit by pretty much anything can lead to a fast demise. So how are you actually supposed to play Kit?
You don't.
Kit's entire gameplay revolves around being a pest to the Terminator. Your goal is essentially to annoy them enough that they waste their abilities trying to deal with you or decide to chase you around the map, wasting valuable time that could have been spent hunting down your teammates. Now, obviously, the 15 HP doesn't exactly make this job easy, but this is where Kit's double jump becomes extremely important. If you know how to use the double jump properly, Kit can be an absolute menace to chase. The extra jump allows you to take shortcuts and reach certain areas that our users and sometimes even Terminators can't access as easily. Of course, this is also heavily dependent on the map and how well you understand its layout. A double jump isn't going to magically save you from every situation, but when used correctly, it can compensate for Kit's incredibly low health and make them a surprisingly effective distraction. And that's really where Kit's value comes from. You're not necessarily trying to be the strongest fighter on the team. You're trying to make the Terminator waste their time chasing you, while the rest of your team use that opportunity to work on their objectives and fill up generators. So, despite being a character with 15 HP, no revive, and a kit designed around making your life as difficult as possible, Kit can actually be surprisingly effective in the right hands. I think it's time to talk about what makes this character so interesting to me. Because despite all the downsides I've mentioned, I don't think Kit was ever designed to be some incredibly competitive or meta-defining character. In fact, I think Kit was made for one simple reason: to have fun. Kit is the kind of character where you're not necessarily playing to win every single match. You're playing because you want to mess around, annoy the Terminator, and pull off some ridiculous double jump escape or land that incredibly satisfying turn-up shot. And honestly, I think that's what makes Kit so charming. They're not a character you pick because they're the safest or most reliable option. You pick Kit because you want to see what kind of stupid situations you can somehow survive. You have 15 HP, no revive, and a Terminator can probably kill you with basically anything. And yet, you still decide to annoy them anyway. That's where the fun comes from. A good Kit player can turn what should be an easy kill for a Terminator into a complete waste of time. You're constantly jumping around, taking shortcuts, evading attacks, interrupting abilities with your pistol, and looking for the perfect opportunity to land your charge-up shot. And when you actually manage to pull it off, it feels amazing. But the opposite can also happen. Sometimes you make one mistake, get hit by a random projectile, and instantly explode. And honestly, that's part of the fun too. Kit isn't really about having the most consistent or optimal gameplay. They're about creating those ridiculous moments that you probably wouldn't experience while playing a more conventional user. And I think that fits I Wanna Be the Guy perfectly. The game that inspired Kit is known for throwing ridiculous challenges at you, killing you for making the smallest mistake, and basically asking you, are you sure you want to keep trying? Kit takes that same philosophy and puts it into PursuitCore. You're given an incredibly fragile character, some surprisingly useful abilities, and just enough mobility to make you think you can actually survive. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you manage to loop the Terminator for an absolute amount of time, land a clutch stun, and escape with literally one hit away from death. Other times, you get hit once and die. And that's Kit. They're not necessarily designed to be the strongest character, they're designed to give you something quote-unquote fun to play.
Eat back up for my friend!
And so, after everything I've talked about, what do I actually think about Kit? Honestly, I think Kit is one of the most interesting examples of character design in a Roblox ASYM game. Not because they're the strongest character or because they have some incredibly complicated ability, but because the entire character is built around a very specific idea. Kit is supposed to be difficult, they're supposed to be fragile, they're supposed to make you suffer, and yet, despite having only 15 HP and being unable to revive, Kit can still contribute to their team through their mobility, pistol, and charge up. I think that's what makes Kit work so well. They're a joke character that somehow still has enough tools to be viable if you actually know what you're doing. And more importantly, in my opinion, they're fun. You can annoy Terminators, pull off ridiculous double jump plays, interrupt their abilities, land a clutch stun, or simply spend an entire chase desperately trying to not get hit once. Sometimes, you'll look like the greatest Kit player alive. Other times, You'll get hit by a random projectile and die instantly. But honestly, that's the part of the experience. Kit isn't a character designed to be taken completely seriously. They're a character designed to make you laugh, rage, and occasionally question why you decided to play them in the first place. Because if you enjoy making your own life harder for the sake of having fun, Kit might just be the perfect character for you. And so, like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all on my next video. Goodbye!